Okay, so what does the Guerrero Gold Belt look like relative to that? We'll do a time run through this, and I'm not going to give you numbers. We'll look at numbers on the next slide. Start out with Xochipala in the mid-1920s, mining high-grade underground. Ucay, 1946, mining high-grade underground, estimated on the order of about 18 grams average grade. 18 grams, several hundreds of thousands of ounces produced at that grade. You know, the buzz on the street on these deposits is that they're big and low grade. Well, what people do not realize is that there's also a heck of a lot of high grade. There's lots of high grade in these deposits. The development work at Todos Santos. Peñoles entered the area in the late 1980s and had quick discoveries at Bermejal Norte and Sur. These have been dumped into Goldcorp's Los Filos mine project, producing as we speak. Minera Tech came in. The tech based out of the Reno office came in '94 and led to a series of discoveries over a 5-year period, Los Filos, Aguida, Independencia, et cetera. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit. Run through this. Mina Verde, even though that was known about a long time ago by the Consejo, and I knew about it as early as '94, it was unavailable until the Morelos Reserve was sold in '99, and Grupo Mexico finally drilled it. Let's get this little closer here. Okay, this was followed by, obviously, the discoveries by Teck after they won the Morelos Reserve Norte, and I'll explain that in a minute, at El Limón and Los Guajes, followed in the early 2000s. Goldcorp went into Ana Paula and did initial drilling. And, of course, that's been followed up now by the New Strike success. The new entries into the exploration game include here the Birasu project, located just southeast of Los Filos. Citation Resources, these gentlemen sitting right over here. And as well, Minaurum Gold is actively working and drill targeting as we speak at Huelcos del Destino, and Daryl Rader is making a phone call. The Bermejal discovery by Peñoles, followed by the Bermejal Sur discovery. Okay, at this point we're up over about 4 million ounces. Now something very important happened after that, okay? In 1992, the Mexican government finally changed the mining law. Prior to that, Mexican companies had to have a controlling interest in any company operating in Mexico in this manner. After that, it changed. That allowed 100% foreign interest. We entered in 1994 through, and the Ucay project ran from about 94 to 99, the initial stage. And we immediately had a string of finds. Expansion of the Ucay open pit reserves bumps it up a little bit. This is quickly followed by very minor discoveries of Subida, Agüita, and Zona 70, Creston Rojo. These two here are part of the greater Super 4P pit that's now being designed by Goldcorp. And I expect increased reserves from Goldcorp any month. I know they were doing a complete revision of reserves as of January. Okay, so I'm expecting their numbers to bump up. I would guess probably 500,000 or so. We'll have to see. And finally, Pedregal. Okay, so now we're up about here. Pedregal, it turns out, was actually part of the greater Los Filos deposit. We did not know that at the time, so we gave it a different name. And 600 holes later, we closed the gap with that deposit. But the granddaddy of them all at the time was Los Filos. This bumped us way up to here. So we're almost up to between 9 and 10 million ounces at this point. All right? So that was a big find. After Los Filos, we got a little more adventuresome and found the completely blind. Los Filos was blind itself, but Independencia and Conchita, Norte, which is now called Norte by Goldcorp, for those of you who know. These are operating on underground operations right now by Goldcorp. These are completely blind. And this brought us up to about, about here. Then something very, very important happened. Keep in mind, all of these discoveries here, rapid discoveries are very short. These were all surrounded by what? Not open ground, not private ground, not other company ground. Surrounded by a government-withdrawn mineral reserve called the Morelos Reserve. They finally coughed it up for bid in '99. Now, one of the reasons why a lot of you had never heard about this gold belt before is that those of us who were involved, Peñoles, Teck, and a few other people who knew the area, the last thing in the world we're going to do is give out talks. Well, geez, look at all this stuff we're finding. Isn't this great? Wouldn't you like to be here? Next thing was another major bump. Now, Teck, we never finished our drilling at Ucay. Gold went down to below 300. Management pulled the plug. We're throwing our arms up going, but we have about 7 open ore bodies. Well, they asked me back in, and I said, well, I would drill here, 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 here. They did that, then they did more. What did they do? They hugely expanded the reserves at New Kai, bringing it up to about, let's say, 13. Okay? But the remarkable thing about this graph is this. If you look at from 0 to 16 million cumulative ounces in discoveries since the mid-1980s, simple math shows that that's 600,000 ounces a year average since the 1980s. Now, if we were looking at a mature mining district, I would expect to see a big gap up here with this flattening off. We're not seeing that yet. There's no guarantee, as they say. Past history of earnings is no predictor of future success. Just they're lawyering the group, whatever it is.